Okay, there we are. We are auto-focused. I'm going to give you some strategies for the multiple choice equation strategy level 1. Okay, so the problem says which value of x satisfies this equation? 4/3 times x minus 4/5 equals negative 196 over 15. Okay, now when you have multiple choice, there's a strategy we can use. And what I notice here is that my answer is a negative. Okay, so my answer is a negative. That means I have to have a positive times a negative or a negative times a positive in order to get a negative. In other words, I can't have two positives or two negatives. I have to have one of each. Now I notice that 4/3 is positive. Okay, that means that this factor has to be negative. So that I have 4/3, a positive, times this has to be a negative. So if this has to be a negative, then x, whatever I put in for x, has to yield a negative. Now if I put in 10 for x, that's not going to give me a negative. 10 minus 4/5 is a positive. If I put in 9 for x, that's not going to give me a negative, because 9, what I'm thinking is 9 minus 4/5. Well, that's 9 minus 4/5, that's like what? 8 and 1/5. So that's not going to work. So 9 is not going to work. So that means my two options are negative 10 or negative 9. Okay, those are the ones I would try. So if I try negative 10, I'm going to try 4/3 times negative 10 minus 4/5. Does that equal negative 196 over 15? Okay, now let's see. I have to get this a common denominator here. So 4/3, and then we've got, I want to get this as fifths. So that's negative 10 over 1. So if I multiply top and bottom by 5, that's going to be negative 50 over 5 minus 4/5. So I have 4/3 times negative 50 minus 4 is negative 54/5. Now I notice that my denominator on the right hand side, my answer is 15. So I'm not going to try to reduce here. 3 times 5 is 15. And then if I take 4 times negative 54, well, that'll be a negative. So I'm going to do 54 times 4 over here. 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1. 4 times 5 is 20, 21. So 54 times 4 is 216. Okay, now that's not the answer I want. So that means that negative 10 didn't work. So the answer has to be negative 9. So I would then hit negative 9 as my answer. Now if you have time, you can take the time to try that. So here we tried negative 10. Let's now try x equals negative 9. So 4/3, that's a 3. And then negative 9 minus 4/5. Does that equal negative 196 over 15? Okay, I got to get a common denominator of 5. So 4/3. And then this is going to be, if I multiply top and bottom by 5, 9 times 5 is 45, minus 4/5. So I have 4/3 times negative 45, or 6% for 8, 49, negative 49/5. And let's just see what that equals. So my denominators, 3 times 5 is 15. Now if I take 49 times 4, 4 times 9 is 36. 16, 17, 18, 19. Wow, bingo! That's a 196. And then a positive times a negative is a negative. And that is the answer that we want. So again, that verified that negative 9 worked. But the strategy here, if we go back to the original problem, look at what your answer is. If it's negative, you're going to have one of each. Okay, so let's look at one more. Okay, here, which value of x satisfies this equation? Okay, now here I have a positive answer. So that means I either need a positive times a positive, or I need a negative times a negative. Well, this multiplier right here, 1/5, is positive. That means this one right here, this multiplier, this factor, has to also be positive. So I want this factor right here. I basically have two factors. I have 1/5 times that, and I want it to be a positive. That means this number right here has to be a positive. Okay, so let's just see. If I put in 2, 2 minus 2/3 will give me a positive. So that, I'm going to keep that in the running. If I put in -3 minus 2/3, that's negative. If I put in -2 and take away 2/3 more, that's even more negative. If I put in 3, that'll give me a positive. So I'm down to either 2 or 3. So I'm going to try one of them, and if it works, that's my answer. If it doesn't, I'm going to choose the other one. So I'm going to try x equals 2. So I have 1/5 times 2 minus 2/3. Does that equal 7/15? Okay, so I need to get this as a common denominator, so I have 1/5, and then if I want to write this as thirds, times numerator and denominator by 3, 2 times 3 is 6/3, minus 2/3. 1/5, 6 minus 2 is 4, 1 times 4 is 4, 4/15. That's not what I want. So it's not going to be 2, so it looks like it's going to be 3. Okay, and just because I'm a math person and I've got a second, I want to try 3. 1/5, so this didn't work. So 1/5 times 3 minus 2/3, does that equal 7/15? Okay, so I have 1/5, 3 is 9/3, minus 2/3, 1/5 times 7/3, 1 times 7 is 7, 5 times 3 is 15, bingo, that's what I want, 7/15. So my correct answer is 3, and so that's what we decided we would choose anyway. So that's the strategy. I hope that strategy helps a little bit, and that takes care of that. Okay, so have a great day, and it is, again, a scorcher out there, but oh, what a beautiful sunny day. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.